Hello golfers, how are you? I'm Brian Fitzgerald, the golf doctor, and I'm having a day off today, and I was at home and I was fiddling around and I noticed this little notification saying that I was able to go on YouTube live. So I thought, why not have a little bit of a play? So here we are. So not quite sure what we do here, but we'll see how we go. Looks like we might have a bad connection. So it may not work very well, but we'll give it a go. We'll get things sorted out and see what happens from here. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about how the game has changed over the last 20 years. And I've been hearing things lately in the paper and on YouTube and even in all the news groups saying that the USGA is trying to, or they're considering changing some of the rules, and in particular to how golf pros have yardage books. That's one of the things that I've heard about. I've also, there has been talk of them banning aim point in particular. They haven't actually named aim point, which I think is very clever. But aim point is the green reading through the feet and your reference charts. And that got me thinking, gee, has the game got out of control so much that we need to start banning these things? So I did a little bit of research and it surprised me, some of the results that I found. So firstly, we go back to 1996 and the average driving distance on the US Tour that year was 266 yards, which, that's pretty good. I'd like some of that at the moment. I'd certainly take any of that. So that wasn't bad in 1996. In 2016, the average drive on the US Tour was 290 yards. So we've got a 24-yard gain. So the current players are 24 yards further down the fairway than they were in 1996. So of course, that would have to mean that we would be shooting, or not we, but everyone would be shooting lower scores. Of course it would. I then looked at the average scoring on the PGA Tour. Back in 1996, the average score for all tour players, this is across the board, was, 71.2. So 71.2 shots. So with all this yardage gain that they've got through the improvements in the golf ball, metal heads, bigger heads, all of that, they've gained 24 yards. So you'd think scoring would have improved. Well, it actually has. It's now 71. So in 20 years, gaining 24 yards has led to a 0.2 of a stroke improvement. So you then think, okay, 0.2 of a stroke per round, 4-round tournament. We haven't even gained one stroke over 72 holes. So, I'm hearing things about courses becoming irrelevant, and it is to a degree. Some of the courses need to be lengthened, apparently, to cater for the ball, which is a sad thing. But then it got me thinking about, okay, if they're driving the ball further and they're not scoring all that much better, what's happening in other areas of golf? So we get to things like average fairways hit. So back in 1996, the average US Tour player hit the fairway 78% of the time. In 2016, they hit the fairway, that was 68% of the time. The average Tour player in 2016 hit it 60% of the time. So they're hitting the ball 24 yards further, but they're hitting 8% less fairways. And of course, it's much harder to make a good score from the rough. So that's probably one of the things. And then we get into putting. And I thought with all this talk of aim point being banned and that type of thing, people would have really expected that people are putting their brains out. Well, they're not. And all these stats are from the PGA Tour website. They're freely available. So in 1996, the average tour player had 29.39 putts per round. In 2016, the average tour player had 29.1 putts per round. So once again, it's around about 0.2. So over putting and over driving, we're still less than 2 shots better per round over the 4 rounds. And I think back to, what would the swimmers have been swimming in various events way back then. Has it changed that much? Probably. I haven't researched that, but it's just an interesting thing. I think a lot of people are overreacting to what's going on, and they don't need to. So I'm just fiddling with all this, trying to get all the right information. So I love to keep talking, and apparently there's a way we can try and... No, that's not it. Sorry, bear with me while I fiddle with these things. I'm not quite sure how to do all this stuff. I can see 2 people are actually watching me. I don't know who they are. I'd love to talk to you. So I need to get better at this. What have we got there? No, not quite sure. Anyway, just some interesting stats on that. The other interesting fact, of course, is back in 1996, the average tour player had 3.38 birdies per round. In 2016, the average tour player had 3.43. So that's only, 0.05 difference in birdies. So they're really not having many more birdies, even though they've got these prodigious lengths. So 24 yards, what is that equivalent to? It's, if we think about it, if we allow that there's 10 yards per club, that's 2 clubs, depending on which iron it is. There's 10 and 11 metre gaps in the shorter irons, there's sort of 10 metre gaps in the mid irons, and toward the long irons there's usually about 7 or 8 metre gaps. So it could be as much as 3 clubs difference, but it's certainly 2. So I just found that quite interesting. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll do some research and find out how I can get this chat going and see what you're all saying, and we'll do a few more of these as we go. Have a great day.